The night of the fire. Fayetteville, West Virginia. Christmas Eve, 1945. Snow fell softly across the Appalachian Hills, and the Sodder family prepared for a night of celebration. But before dawn, a tragedy would unfold. One that would defy logic, haunt investigators, and spawn decades of chilling theories. Inside the Sodder home, George and Jenny Sodder, along with their 10 children, finished their holiday preparations. The aroma of baked goods filled the house, while strings of Christmas lights cast warm glows across the rooms. But by morning, nearly half of the family would be gone, vanished as though swallowed by the night. It began just after 1 a.m. Jenny Sodder was startled awake by the sound of something rolling across the roof, followed by a loud thud. Seconds later, smoke filled the house. Flames erupted near the stairwell, cutting off access to the upper bedrooms where 5 of the children slept. George Sodder tried desperately to reach them, but the staircase was engulfed. He smashed a window, slashing his arm, and ran outside, determined to climb to the second floor. But the ladder he always kept nearby was missing. He raced to his trucks, thinking he could park one beside the house to climb in. Both failed to start, though they'd worked perfectly hours earlier. Neighbors called the fire department, but their response was slow, agonizingly slow. By the time they arrived, the house had collapsed into a smoldering heap, and yet, no remains of the 5 missing children were found. The vanishing and immediate aftermath. The fire burned through the night, leaving nothing but a blackened foundation and a lingering smell of charred timber. As dawn broke over the Appalachian Hills, a terrifying realization settled in. 5 of the Sodder children had vanished without a trace. Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jenny, and Betty. Their small bodies should have been found in the ashes. Fire investigators claimed the inferno was so intense it had completely incinerated them. But experts quickly disagreed. House fires, even severe ones, rarely destroy human bones, especially in just 45 minutes. There should have been fragments, teeth, something. Yet the search yielded nothing. Even stranger, the phone line to the Sodder home had been cut. A neighbor reported seeing a man at the local power pole the day before the fire, though no official work was scheduled. Another claimed to have seen a stranger parked along the highway, watching the house, just before the blaze. Jenny Sodder couldn't accept the official explanation. She began running her own experiments, burning animal bones to ash, consulting crematorium experts, and studying fire patterns. All agreed, the fire was not hot enough nor long enough to obliterate 5 bodies. The Sodders put up a billboard near the site, plastered with photographs of the missing children, a desperate plea for answers. But answers never came, only more questions, and a growing sense that something far darker than a house fire had taken place that night. Strange clues and disturbing theories. In the weeks following the fire, chilling clues began to surface, each one hinting that the Sodder children had not perished in the flames, but had been taken. A woman claimed to have seen the children watching the blaze from a passing car. Another witness said they were spotted at a hotel, accompanied by 2 unknown adults who refused to speak to anyone. Months later, a photograph arrived at the Sodder home, postmarked from Kentucky. On the back, in shaky handwriting, it read, "Louis Sodder, I love brother Frankie. Ill boys, A90132 or 35. The young man in the photo bore a striking resemblance to Louis, one of the missing children. But the mysteries did not end there. A private investigator hired by George and Jenny vanished without a trace himself after heading to meet a potential witness. The family dog, normally a fierce barker, was silent the night of the fire, suggesting it had been drugged. Then came an unsettling confession. A man in Florida, near death, allegedly told a priest that he had helped kidnap the Sodder children, claiming they were taken by an underground organization. But no evidence surfaced to prove his story. Each clue seemed to suggest a conspiracy. But who would want to harm a working-class Italian-American family in rural West Virginia? And why? George Sodder believed he knew. His past might have finally caught up to him. Theories, abduction, mafia involvement, and cover-up. George Sodder was no ordinary man, An immigrant from Italy, he had long been outspoken about his hatred for Benito Mussolini and the fascist regime. In a small Appalachian town filled with whispers of political loyalties, his views made enemies powerful ones. In the months before the fire, strange visitors had appeared at the Sodder home. One man warned George that his house would go up in flames and his children would be destroyed if he did not change his ways. Another stranger offered to sell him life insurance but hinted, darkly, that refusal would bring tragedy. George had dismissed them until that Christmas Eve. Some believe the Sodder children were kidnapped as revenge, possibly by individuals tied to Italian organized crime or Mussolini loyalists in the United States. Others point to the possibility of human trafficking, a horrifying but real threat even in mid-20th century America. Then there is the theory of a cover-up. Some suggest corrupt local authorities may have known more than they admitted. Why declare the children dead so quickly? Why did law enforcement not pursue the most promising leads? Each theory only deepened the shadows surrounding that night, leaving behind one final, haunting possibility. Haunting conclusion and final chilling twist. Years turned to decades, but the Sodder family refused to give up. Along Route 16, a massive billboard loomed for nearly 4 decades. A grim reminder of 5 missing children and a mystery frozen in time. Travelers passing through Fayetteville would see their young faces staring back, as though pleading for someone to come forward with the truth. Jenny Sodder, overcome with grief, wore black for the rest of her life. A symbol of mourning not for her children's deaths, but for their absence. George spent his final years chasing leads, traveling across the country, knocking on doors, interrogating strangers. None of it brought him closer to his children. In 1968, the photograph of a young man believed to be Lewis reignited their hope, but investigators dismissed it. No one traced the Kentucky address from where it was mailed. No one investigated further. As time passed, theories multiplied. Some spoke of abduction, others of revenge. Some whispered of a cover-up so deep that the truth was buried alongside those who knew it. But what remains most chilling is the silence. No ransom note, no confession, no closure. Today, the Sodder home site is a quiet patch of land. But for those who stand there, it feels as if the night of the fire lingers. Smoke rising from the earth, faint cries echoing from nowhere. Perhaps the children are still out there, or perhaps their spirits never left. The disappearance of the Sodder children is more than an unsolved mystery. It is a shadow carved into American history, a story of fire, fear, and unanswered questions that will forever haunt the quiet hills of West Virginia.